Outstanding team, certainly very deserving of being number one in the country. They've beaten just about 3 or 4, whatever it is, top 10 teams. A couple of teams have been in the top 5. Certainly Mason Plumlee's development this year, I think he's playing as well as anybody in the country, averaging 18 and 11, and it's really helped their team a little bit from the standpoint of giving that complete inside-outside game. They've always been able to shoot the 3 well. Seth Curry and Ryan Kelly, tremendous shooters. I think Quinn Cook has really improved this year and is playing great at the point. And then Suleiman has come in and taken over for Rivers, and they're just playing with a lot of confidence. They play very hard, execute their stuff really well, and certainly will be the biggest of challenges for our team.
Given the issues y'all had with the ball the other night, is it safe to say that's the biggest concern, given how much pressure Duke usually
really, to be honest with you, we handled Florida State's pressure pretty well. We had some bad turnovers at the end of the game that were disappointing, but well into the game, I think we only had 8 or 9 throughout most of what we dealt with Florida State. Certainly that is a concern with Duke because of how hard they guard and the environment you're playing in, and with so many young players, you're always concerned that those guys won't handle that environment as well. Our freshmen, to be honest, guards didn't play very well. Made a lot of mistakes defensively, especially in transition in the game against Florida State, and that was a big problem.
Obviously, they shoot the 3 well, and then Florida State had 10 on you the other day. I mean, defending the 3, I would think, would be a priority.
It's interesting. Obviously, we go back and examine all 10 threes that Florida State made. Really, seven of them were probably breakdowns by our players that, they were just bad plays. Like, we didn't communicate, we overhelped, we didn't communicate, or we made the wrong decision in transition defense. There was 1 3 that was my fault when we went try to go zone to change it to give them a different look, and there were probably 2 threes that those guys made that happened. One was kind of a loose ball situation. One was a tough shot off a ball screen that we were reasonably good defensively on it. So it's hard to coach some of the mistakes that we made. Some of them are instincts or lack of instinct plays where we just lost sight of our man. KJ lost sight of his man one time and gave up a 3, and there were a couple of bad transition situations. We obviously showed the guys and talked about things we've it's kind of what I've talked about all year with this team. As soon as you think you've got something solved, we've done pretty well. Transition defensively, we've played pretty well. You kind of move on to other things, and then one of these things comes right back out and haunts you, and your transition defense is bad again. And certainly transition defense is a difficult concept. It's one of the hardest things defensively to do, and certainly with Duke's shooting, it'll be an emphasis in this game.
With that transition defense, what are some common breakdowns that happen there? You talk about how complicated it is. What are
just not making the right reads of going to the right guys. One time Adonis left his man, or not really. He didn't really leave his man, but he just went and double teamed the ball almost. I don't know if he didn't think that he didn't see Jordan. We had 2 guys on the ball, and they just threw it to the top. Another time, Jordan Roper, we had guys running back, and the post players were even with their guys, and we were fine. Jordan needed to go out and guard the ball, and he kind of waited in the paint, and the guy just pulled up and made a 3. And it's like, you can tell him, Jordan, you see on tape, everybody's fine. Like, you have to go guard the ball, and this is when you leave the basket, this is when you don't leave the basket. And it's things we practice, but it's just stuff you got to keep practicing. And so there's another time when Landry was in the game, and he went kind of tried to run back and overhelp back down to the 5. Instead of Milt had the 5, he's now taking the trail 4, and he overran it back down to the 5, and he left the guy at the top of the key wide open. O'Carroll White makes a 3. Like, it's just stuff like, it's things we've done a million times. It's things they know, but in the heat of battle, when things are really coming at you, it's different because at high school you probably haven't had to do that, and you end up making a mistake. And at this level, a guy shoots it in.
And Duke's pretty good in those transitions.
Absolutely.
How do you begin to slow down their offense with 4 guys out there who can usually shoot pretty well in a given possession? 42% from three.
I mean, you can go any way you want with them. That's why they're the #1 team in the country. They got 4 guys that score double figures. They shoot 40% from three. Their leading scorer is their post player with 18 and 11 and shoots 63%. You just got to do the best you can. You got to go into the game with that we're going to get back. We're going to get our defense set. Because in all honesty, our defense against Florida State was reasonably good. It really was. And it wasn't. We go back and watch the film, and we did what we were supposed to do. We had a couple breakdowns in the first half, really where we should have made some things with our jamming better. But our defense was pretty good at half-court level. The problem was in the first half, we were constantly in transition because we couldn't score. And so to be honest with you, one of the keys is we've got to be able to get good shots. We've got to be able to make some of those shots so that we can set our defense and not have to play against transition basketball against Duke the whole night.
Do you do anything to help keep your younger guys from getting caught up in where they're playing and kind of looking in the rafters? And
we don't do the play music and all that kind of stuff. I don't really think that's for this situation. I don't know that applies as much. You just try to tell guys to focus on what's inside the lines and not even worry about, what other than the guys on your team there and our bench. That's all you need to look at. You don't need to look around. Look around during shoot around, but when the game comes, don't worry about their crowd. Don't be sitting there watching their fans. Don't just lock into our guys, focus on what we're trying to do, and lock into our people that are there to help you win. And it's sometimes easier said than done. And last year or 2 years ago when we went there, we played very well. Now we were older, and our guys played with very good poise, and we executed and did a lot of good things and really missed a bunch of inside shots or we could have won the game or at least taken it to the wire. But 2 years later, it's a different team. Duke's as good or better, probably better, and we're probably not as good right now. And so we've got to figure out a way to make our guys feel comfortable, confident when they're playing, and set up a plan that's going to give them a chance to have some success, so they gain confidence within the game, because that's really the only thing that can happen to help your guys. You can talk about it, this, that, and the other, but until they experience some success in that kind of environment, they're always going to question a little bit.
What'd you take